Hi guys, welcome again to my channel. In this video I am going to show you how to configure S3 lifecycle rules. Lifecycle rules are used to automate the management of objects stored in S3 buckets. These rules enable you to define actions that should be taken on objects based on their age or certain conditions. Lifecycle rules are commonly used for cost optimization by automatically transitioning objects between storage classes or deleting them when they are no longer needed. For example, you can transition objects to cheaper storage classes like S3 infrequent access or S3 glacier after a certain period to reduce costs. I have made another video about storage classes, so you can view this video. I will provide a link to that video in which I have discussed what are the various storage classes available in S3. And there are many use cases of life cycle rules in S3. Another use case is if versioning is enabled for an S3 bucket. Life cycle rules can also manage object versions. You can define rules to expire or delete old object versions, helping to control version management and reduce storage cost. Another use case could be life cycle rules could be configured to delete objects after a certain period, allowing you to automatically remove outdated or expired data. This is particularly useful for temporary files, logs, or data that have a limited retention period. And one of the use cases for lifecycle rules is for compliance requirements or data retention policies. We can use lifecycle rules to ensure that objects are retained for a specific duration before they are deleted. This helps organizations adhere to regulatory requirements without manual intervention. The life cycle rules are useful in reducing the cost of the object that we are not using frequently, and we can lower the storage cost by using life cycle rules which automatically transitions the objects from one storage class to another storage class. So let us now see how we can configure the life cycle rules. I am in my S3 dashboard. So here I have this S3 bucket. So lifecycle rule setting is available inside the bucket. So inside the bucket we have this management tab. So in this bucket I have this one folder and one file. Inside the folder I have a file. So go to management, create lifecycle rule. So in this rule, in this example, what we want to do is we want to move our objects from S3 standard class to S3 standard IA class after 30 days, and after 90 days move to S3 glacier instant retrieval, and after 180 days we want to move our objects to S3 glacier deep archive, and after 365 days we want to delete the objects. So these rules we want to configure using lifecycle configuration. So let us name it something, lifecycle rule 1. Choose a rule scope. Limit the scope of this rule using one or more filters. We can also limit the scope of the rule using filters. For example, in our S3 bucket we have a folder, so we want only the files from that particular folder, which is a prefix to the objects, to get transitioned using lifecycle configuration. So we can provide the prefix like this. So now only the objects which are inside this folder with this prefix will be transitioned using lifecycle configuration rules. So for this example, let us apply to all the objects in the bucket. So I acknowledge that this rule will apply to all objects in the bucket. Now here we have lifecycle rule actions. So here we will choose the actions we want to perform through this rule. So first is move current versions of object between storage classes. So in S3 we can also enable versioning. So if we have enabled versioning in our bucket, then we can select this to move current versions of object between storage classes. So we want to move our objects from S3 standard to S3 standard IA after 30 days. So we will choose the transition state as S3 standard IA, and days after object creation, 30 days. After object creation we want to move the object to standard IA, and then after 90 days we want to move the objects to S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. So Glacier Instant Retrieval, and after 180 days we want to move to Deep Archive. So this is one transition that we configured. Here it is giving a warning: transitioning small objects to Glacier Flexible Retrieval or Glacier Deep Archive will incur a per object cost. So this is a warning. So for small objects it will be more costly. So as this is a demo, so we can acknowledge it, but for your actual use case you can choose the transitioning according to your requirement. Then we have this move non-current versions of objects between storage classes. So if you want to move the non-current versions also, then you can select this. And expire current versions of objects. So we want to expire current objects version of our object after 365 days. We want to delete the object, so we will select this option, and here in the expire current versions of objects give 365 after 365 days. And then we have permanently delete non-current versions of objects. If you want to permanently delete non-current versions of objects, then you can select this option. Delete expired object, delete markers or incomplete multi-part uploads. So this option is for delete marker objects with delete markers and incomplete multi-part uploads. So here you can review the transition and expiration actions at day 0. After day 0, at day 0 object is uploaded, and at day 30 objects move to standard IA, and objects move to Glacier's instant retrieval after 90 days, and after 180 days objects move to Glacier Deep Archive, and at day 365 objects expire. And for non-current versions we have not specified any action, so click the create rule. Now we have created our rule for this bucket. So according to this rule, the objects will automatically transition from one storage class to another storage class. So in this way we can configure lifecycle rules in the S3 bucket. S3 lifecycle rules offer us a powerful mechanism for automating the management of objects stored in S3 buckets. So in this way we can help in optimizing storage cost, adhere to compliance requirements, and streamline our data lifecycle management processes. So I hope you liked the video. Please leave your comment and suggestions, and if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you and see you in the next video.